More than 700 million people worldwide are unable to read or write. The vast majority are women and girls. The UN says progress is being made, but obstacles remain as the world strives to provide education for all. This is Inside Story. Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Shiulie Ghosh. It's described as a basic right and a foundation for lifelong learning, but the United Nations says millions of people around the world are still unable to read and write, and the figures are worse among women and girls. A statement released by the UN's education arm, UNESCO, to mark International Literacy Day said literacy is much more than an educational priority. It is the ultimate investment in the future. We wish to see a century where every child is able to read and to use this skill to gain autonomy. Well, latest UNESCO figures show around 774 million people in the world lack basic reading and writing skills. And of those, almost 2/3 are women. Some 123 million young people aged 15 to 24 are unable to read and write. And here again, the female share is more than 60%. The lowest literacy rates are in South and West Asia, which is home to half of the global illiterate population. And Sub-Saharan Africa, which has some of the lowest rates, below 50% in 10 countries and dropping to 25% in Guinea. Providing universal primary education is among the UN's 8 Millennium Development Goals. And there has been progress. By the target year of 2015, 2/3 of adults and 3/4 of youths in Sub-Saharan Africa are expected to be able to read and write. And in South and West Asia, about 9 out of 10 young adults are projected to be literate. But obstacles remain, as shown by the story of Malala Yousafzai, shot in the head by the Taliban for promoting education for girls. Jennifer Glass in Kabul reports on the challenges still ahead for Afghanistan, where only 12% of the women can read and write.
Afghanistan's education system has been touted as one of the successes here over the past 12 years, and it has made great strides since the time of the Taliban. Then girls were forbidden to go to school, and only about 900,000 boys were enrolled in school. Now there are 8 million children enrolled in school, almost 40% of them girls. But the education system still faces a lot of problems. The infrastructure, for example. Less than 50% of schools around the country have actual school buildings. So you see students studying under tents or under trees. And also, less than 1/3 of teachers have actual formal qualifications. But one of the biggest problems is security. We went to a school in Ghazni where the girls' school has been closed by the Taliban for 5 years. About 36 schools across the province of Ghazni remain closed. 500 schools across the country remain closed. And even here in Kabul, you can see the disparity. There are model schools here where virtually 100% of the students graduate high school. And just across town, we visited one school, the Ismail Balki School, where 2,000 boys a day go to school in classrooms that have no roof and no windows. That was a World Bank project commissioned in 2008. The builder that was supposed to build those classrooms basically ran away with the money, is what school officials say. They've gone to the Ministry of Education to try and get the school rebuilt, and they say that the contractor has to come back. Ministry of Education officials say lack of budget is one of their big problems, and after decades of war here, the literacy rate still remains one of the lowest in the world. Only about 35% of the people are literate. The Afghan government recognizes that that is a big problem, and it has an ambitious goal. By 2020, it hopes that all Afghan children will be able to complete school here, but it's got a long way to go. Jennifer Glass for Inside Story in Kabul.
So let's introduce our guests today. In Boston, Jordan Naidoo, Senior Advisor on Education for the UN children's charity UNICEF. And in Kabul, we have Kabir Haqmal, Director of Information and spokesman for Afghanistan's Minister of Education. Gentlemen, welcome to the programme. Kabir, if I can start with you. Afghanistan is very ambitious about its education programme. It wants to get more children into education, but you have a lot of challenges, don't you? 500 schools closed across the country.
Yeah, let me start it from the developments and from the achievements, what we got in last 10 years and what we have lost. I think the achievements are so big, and I think we have enough achievement in historical achievement in not in only based on Afghan context, but based on overall educational improvement in the world. We started from the 0% of the ladies in 2002 or 2003 with only 2 million students in the schools, but fortunately we have more than 10 million students in the schools with 41% of the girls. Also, we started from the only 20,000 of the teachers. Now we have fortunately more than 210,000 teachers, and the number of the schools is reached to the 16,500. With all these achievements, we have big challenges which I can conclude it in 3 big challenges. The first one is the security. Security is challenging all the developmental processes in Afghanistan. It includes the developmental process of education or any other parts of the human life. Still, as you said, we have hundreds of the schools which are closed because of the security concerns, and still we have 2 million children which are out of the schools. They are in the age of the school, but they can't go to schools because of these problems. The second problem is that, you know, Afghanistan is a war-torn country, and still the war is continuing on here. We need more funds, we need more money, and we need more financial support to develop our educational system. Firstly, we want to build the schools. 50% of the schools have no buildings. We are studying, our students are studying in open area or under the tent.
Okay, can I just ask you about that, Kabir? Because we've also heard that some funding that's destined for schools is actually lost through corruption or fraud or contractors running away with the money. How are you making sure that money is going to schools? Is there a commitment to funnel money to education?
Yeah, 2 things are there. One is corruption, and the second one is the real need for the money. Actually, we are in the first position, which we need the money, and we should find some funds from our international community and from our international colleagues and international supporters. The corruption and the misuse of the money in financial support is something else, which is really is there in Afghanistan. But I am sure in overall Afghan system, and especially in our educational system, we have decreased the corruption to the I can't tell you that it decreased to the 0, but it is in the very low level, because many things which is going on are under the monitoring of international community, and all the projects are getting the approval of the World Bank monitoring system or another international community related offices.
Okay,
we are not alone to spend the money, and we have big partners. Really, we have some problems, but all the problems cannot be counted against the government of Afghanistan.
Okay, so you talked about tackling corruption. You talked about security being a big problem. You talked about the fact that there is still violence in some parts of the country is still a problem. What about cultural attitudes? Do the people of Afghanistan believe that women and girls should receive a full education? How are you tackling that?
I explained 2 causes, the security and poverty or financial problems. The third problem against our educational system is culture. Still, unfortunately, in Afghanistan, we have the families who think that if you send your the sending of the daughter or participation of a girl in the school is not good. It's not actually in Islamic rule, and it's not actually a rule which is have root with Islam, but it is culturally came since many years, and people think that they shouldn't send their daughters to the schools. But now this point of view and this thinking way is getting changed. People are going to send their daughters or their sisters to the schools, but unfortunately the security is again a problem. If a man is not secure there, if a police is not secure there, if a minister is not secure there, if another person is not secure there, how can you believe that your daughter will be secured? So the security is the big challenge. I think if we have a good security and stability in our country, many problems will be solved, and people if they are not ready to send their daughters to the school this year, they will be ready to school to send it next year, because today every Afghan know and every Afghan aware of we need that our own Afghan engineer, we need our own Afghan doctor, and we need our own Afghan expert and professional person, which we don't have in enough number in the country.
Okay.
And this number cannot be only concluded in the men. We know, overall Afghanistan know that the both sides of the community, male and female and men and women, should go side by side and shoulder by shoulder to make a stable and improved Afghan community.
Kabir, that's really good to hear. Let me bring Jordan into this. I mean, clearly it's not just Afghanistan. There are many countries where security is a massive problem, and the cultural resistance of some countries to educating their girls and women is a big problem. What is the picture that we have globally when we look at educating girls and women?
Yes, as you say, the problem is global. There are over 57 million children of primary age out of school across the world, and of those 40% are from countries affected by conflict and violence. Over 28 million children of primary age that are out of school are in contexts that are acutely affected by violence and conflict. So it is a problem across the world. Secondly, I want to agree fully that some of the social norms and attitudes also influence the enrollment of girls in schools, and this is a major problem throughout. And to agree with the colleague from Afghanistan is that despite the challenges that remain, there have been immense progress over the last 10-15 years, and we've seen in many countries where girls' enrollment is now at parity with boys, but it still needs a lot more sort of attention to providing access for girls that are closer to the communities, where girls don't have to travel too far distances, because parents and community members also see the issue of threats along the way, but also to work through social mobilization and other activities to encourage parents and community members to see the value of educating all children, not just boys, but particularly girls.
Isn't it the case that although
UNICEF,
I was going to, sorry to interrupt you, Jordan, I just want to really emphasize this. Although literacy rates have risen in the past few years, the illiteracy rates of women remains virtually the same. I mean, how is that possible?
Yeah, I think we do have to agree that while literacy rates in general have increased, women make up still over 60% of those that are illiterate. This is, again, there's a number of reasons, and I think one of the main reasons is that even when girls are enrolled, often they are forced to drop out for various reasons. Mainly, I think one of the main reasons remains social attitudes, but it's still also a question of providing infrastructure, schools closer to the communities, and so on. We also have to change teaching practices, and as I was going to say, UNICEF is working with national governments like the Afghanistan government, with other partners including UNESCO, the Global Partnership for Education and international donors to address the issue of girls' access. I think the issue is not only about access, but improving the quality of learning. We find that almost 250 children who complete even up to grade 4 often come out of school without basic literacy skills, and I think that is also a major problem. We do have to address the quality of education, because often even when girls are enrolled, they face many other problems, acute discrimination, curriculum are not adequately matched to the needs of all children. So I think that is a major issue, where we have to work on both access, quality, and other measures to ensure that girls not only get into school, but actually do learn.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about why it's important that women and girls get educated. It's not just a question of fairness, because according to the United Nations Foundation, women who have control of their own income tend to have fewer children, and fertility rates have shown to be inversely related to national income growth. Girls and young women delaying marriage and having fewer children means a bigger change of increasing per capita income, higher savings and more rapid growth. Jordan, it is the case, isn't it, that if you educate your children, and particularly if you educate your girls, then your community and your country benefit economically?
Yes, definitely so. As you've rightly stated, not only is it a question of justice and fairness, but it is an economic imperative. Educating girls contributes to the economic growth of countries in terms of reducing fertility rates, reducing mortality rates as well. It is shown quite clearly that educated mothers are able to better rear their children. It is also an ongoing cycle. They provide better early childhood care and increases literacy, and the cycle of growth and enrollments continue. I think the most important thing is the health of children is proven to be shown that educated mothers contribute to greater survival of children in the first 5 years.
Kabir, do you agree with that? The statistics tell us that every year of schooling increases a girl's individual earning power by 10 to 20%. That is surely something that Afghanistan would want to have in the future.
The improvement in the enrollment is clear, but some problems is also there. But let me give you some new information about the literacy in Afghanistan. Fortunately, we have 62% of the women participation in the literacy courses, and we have graduated more than 4 million of the people of Afghanistan who are not able to write and read in last 10 years, but we have done enough for them to be graduated from these courses. But still, we have some problems of going out of the girls from the schools. For example, some girls are there who are going to study after the 12th year, and who should go to the universities and who should participate in the higher education, but they are getting married, or they are going to be married, and they are not going to be participated in the higher education. This is a challenge also. But the achievements are so high in the country. I think if we compare it with any other war-torn country or any other war-torn society, it will be uncomparable. It is a huge achievement for us, and we are hoping that in next 5 years the quality of the girls will be same with the boys.
Well, I mean, you were talking about
Afghanistan.
wanting Afghan female doctors and Afghan female lawyers. Is there anywhere they can go to study to be Afghan doctors and lawyers for the women?
Yeah. The ground is open for them. They can choose their own way of the life, and they can choose any other faculty who want to be a doctor, who want to be an engineer, who want to be a lawyer,
as long as their
or
family
anyone
allows
else.
them to choose that.
No, the problem is the families are still there. For example, in the cities we have no problem with that. They are encouraging their girls to go to schools, to go to universities, even to take the master or PhD degrees. But in the village, because of some problems, because of some social problems, because of some cultural problems, even because of some economic problems, they are not allowing their daughters to go to higher educations. One problem is there. In Afghanistan, the situation is not as secure as in other societies. If a person is getting enrolled in the Concours exam or in general exam to pass into the higher education, he may get a seat, for example, from Kandahar in the Mazar-e Sharif. Then it's very difficult for a family to allow his or her daughter to go to Mazar-e Sharif or any other province. Ministry of Education is trying to solve this problem, at least about the teacher education. Now we have opened more than 300 teacher education centers in Afghanistan. We have one central teacher training center in every province of the country, in all the districts.
Okay.
We want them to go firstly to those centers and to be not so far from their families, go and have enrolled in the teacher training centers, then be a professional teacher, then they can produce the new generation and they can change the society.
Yeah, I understand. Jordan, let me bring you in, because we've been talking a lot about war-torn countries and poor countries and developing countries. It's also an interesting fact that in the United States, 32 million adults can't read or write. That's 14% of the population in the United States. It's hardly a poor country.
Yes, no, I think the problem of literacy, particularly in terms of the skills necessary in a media and highly text-based technological world, is an issue that faces all countries, not just developing countries. In the global consultation on education co-led by UNICEF and UNESCO, one of the key sort of recommendations is that the issue of literacy and skills, competencies to perform in a 21st century world applies to all countries. So I think it is a major issue. One of the things we need to do is to use the innovations and tools that are necessary that we have today to expand access and to improve the quality for all.
But do you think there's enough political will to do that? Because it costs money, and a very small amount of, for example, international aid that comes from places like the EU actually is targeted towards education. So is there a political commitment by governments in any of these countries to concentrate on education as opposed to humanitarian needs, development, war, conflict, weapons, whatever?
I think there is increasing political will because there is an increasing recognition that investment in education is vital to realize all development, all other aspects of growth. So there is increased recognition, but at the same time, that political commitment needs to be matched by actual investment and greater actions that are more efficient and more effective to deliver on quality education.
Well, you see, you've got, for example,
looking forward.
Sorry to interrupt you again. I was saying that there was a program in Somalia, for example, a drive to get 1 million Somali children into education, funded almost entirely by aid, by international aid. And it is interesting that a lot of poorer countries, developing countries, are spending less than 0.1% of their gross national income on education. That's why I'm asking whether it is a political priority.
I think, as you said, there is increasing international aid, even though that has flatlined over the recent years. But if we look at globally, the greatest increases in investment in education has been in domestic funding. While we may have some countries that are still far short of the minimum percentage that is needed from domestic resources. In the last 10 years, most countries have increased domestic spending on education, with the recognition that if the aspirations of the youth and children are not met, it has various implications, not only on growth, but it will contribute to the instability and dissatisfaction of the broader population. So most governments over the past 10, 15 years have actually increased domestic spending. But the problem is that it is still far short of the necessary funding. In fact, most recent statistics have shown, even in terms of international aid, there's about a 16 billion shortfall in what is necessary if we have to provide quality education for every child.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for speaking with us here on Inside Story. A big thank you to Jordan, Naidoo and Kabir Haqmal. And don't forget, you can find this show and many more at facebook.com/AJ Inside Story. Join the debate. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Shiulie Ghosh. Bye for now.